Okay, just a second. Um, okay. Stephen, we can start now. Hi, everyone. Thanks for being here. This is Starknet All Core Devs call number 48. Before we start, quick reminder that we'll be recording this for anyone who could not join us live today. Please keep your mic muted when you're not speaking, and we are sticking with the 12 p.m. UTC for these calls. So today's plan is straightforward. We'll hear from Ethan on some key Starkware updates, then go through the client teams and wrap up with the space for any additional topics. And also, we have to keep in mind that we don't have Equilibrium team today with us because of an offsite that they have today. And other than that, let's get started. So, Ethan, it's good to see you again. And let's start with a quick network health check. So, anything noteworthy happened since we last spoke? We'll come to
Yes.
the mainnet upgrade, but other than that, like anything else happened?
So we experienced some testnet downtime last weekend. Um, Over the coming days, we'll have some more uh, documentation out there for the ecosystem to review on this specific case. Um, Beyond that, we had the integration network upgrade last week on March 17th um, to 0.14.2. And we had a testnet upgrade to 0.14.2 following. Um, the 0.14.2 upgrade is the Starknet upgrade that's compatible with the new RPC changes. So if you were following last week, maybe a bit more than last week, we released the RPC 0.10.1. That was compatible with proof facts and proofs and sending transactions with proofs and being able to simulate in highly efficient ways. So that was published, and then we saw the upgrades that brought the network to a compatible stage with this RPC. But then quickly after our integration upgrade, we realized that it would be even more efficient to change the proof uh, the proof type sitting in the invoke transaction. So we had a quick RPC upgrade to 0.10.2, which changed the description of the proof type. That was the only thing that went into this version. And the reason that we decided to go ahead and do it was because if we had delayed it and decided to gain this efficiency down the road, it could have created some uncomfortable breaking changes after people have adapted to the current proof type. So the decision was made to go ahead and do it now. And due to that, we have our full node teams that now are re-implementing or bumping their versions so that we can have full nodes on the network that are compatible with sending proofs. Now, the reason that we felt comfortable doing it was because changing the proof type wasn't going to break the full nodes that were already released that were compatible with the network. Why is that? Because the full nodes syncing process didn't change. The block hash wasn't changing. The information that they were getting through the sync wasn't changing. The only thing that was changing was their ability to send a transaction with a proof, which we realized, okay, we can delay that for a bit and just keep the normal behavior until the full nodes release a version that's compatible. So that's what we saw over the last week. Um, Earlier today, I shared with the full node teams that two crates, BlockFire and Starknet API, were both bumped. They were requested to wait for their releases until these crates were bumped so that we could have one upgrade cycle with the RPC providers. Um, and now we're waiting for those versions. Um, the differences in the BlockFire and Starknet API, amongst other things, are different Cairo upgrades that we wanted to get out there, and a few other things that are related to 0.14.2 versions and stability. That's it in terms of mainnet, testnet, and integration. If we're talking about Propeller, we're still advancing in the implementation. Some of the repos and code are available on the main branch, but they're not in use yet. So we're in the development stage of it, far less in the usage stage of it.
Okay. And like, do we have a timeline for the implementation for Propeller? How does it look like?
We'd like to see it in use by 0.14.3, or at least somewhat in use, a version of it in use. We're not sure if it will be ready by then, but that's definitely our it's in our goals to do it. It's a nice to have for 0.14.3. So we're not locked in on it, but we would obviously like to see it ready by then.
Mhm. Okay. And also on the key management API, you mentioned in the previous call that you would be documenting that as a standard spec for the ecosystem. So
Yeah.
have we?
So that's we're still developing it. I think once we have full development there, then we'll be able to take it, reduce from it the spec, and provide the spec to the ecosystem. Right now, we're not doing it the other way around because it's a lot harder to create the first version from a spec, whereas it's a lot easier to create the spec from the first version. So we don't want to tie our hands, and we'll see. We'll have more answers on that once we have the first version out.
Okay. Uh, and also, last time you mentioned that there were some issues for calculating the block hashes by the sequencers. So is that happening correctly now?
Uh, can you remind me with regards to which specific flow?
It was for calculating block hashes. You mentioned that now we have five sequencers that are calculating block hashes
Okay, yes.
independently. Yeah.
So you're referring to the bug that we saw in testnet that delayed the mainnet upgrade that we saw on March 18th. So
Yes.
as I shared prior, the first of all, to overcome that bug, we put in a bunch of guardrails and made some changes. We decided to not take two steps, but one step with this upgrade. But basically, prior to March 18th's upgrade, we were calculating on mainnet block hashes solely with in the after the block was created by consensus protocol by the sequencers, meaning that it was calculated by our centralized component that later on sent it to L1, and it wasn't calculated by the decentralized sequencers. So after March 18th, what happened was we introduced that new code into the decentralized sequencers so that they would all calculate the block hashes themselves. And then the idea prior to the mainnet upgrade was that those block hashes that they calculate will be used in as retrospective block hashes later on when each sequencer becomes a proposer. What we decided to do was instead of doing those two steps, which is calculating block hash and then using the block hash, in this version, they're only going to calculate it. We'll gain familiarity and confidence with that. And then in the next version, they'll also use that block hash, which basically means in the meantime, we're still using the centralized one, but we're starting to calculate it with the decentralized one. So it's very cool that we were able to split this up into two steps, add some additional guardrails to make sure that that it's happening correctly, and if it doesn't happen correctly, then we'll be able to catch it. Even if and the guardrails also mean that we have virtually reduced the risk of it to as low as possible because we're not even using the block hash from these decentralized calculations anyways.
Okay. Okay. And also looking at the bigger picture, like you have been targeting Q3 for decentralized validation. So with like proper propellers implementation with 14.3. So does that timeline still hold that by Q3 we'll be able to have it ready, the full
Yeah,
decentralization?
we always said end of Q3. We'll hopefully it is possible that it will bleed into Q4, but we haven't made any announcement on that yet. So we're
Mhm.
still sticking with the end of Q3 timeline. Certain things have already changed now where 0.14.2 isn't at the date that we originally thought that it was going to be at the date. So hopefully there's not a trickle effect there. If there is, then we'll know to share it.
Mhm. Okay. Thank you for the thorough update, Ethan. And let's move to the client teams now.
No
Since
problem.
Christian is not here, we'll skip to directly Juno. So, Rodrigo, in the last call, we were targeting either March 13 or March 16 for the RPC 10.1 RC release. So, did we ship that? You are muted, Rodrigo.
Sorry. Yes. Last week we released O1520, which supports the latest version of Starknet, O14.2, as well as the latest RPCV spec, so 0.10.1. And we also include some fixes there, and we also made two quality of life improvements. One of them is adding Kubernetes support. Like it was always supported, but now we have official docs out. And the other thing is adding the option for the output of Juno, which right now it's human readable, to also be machine readable in case for people want to parse Juno logs easier for write codes with that. So yeah.
Mhm.
Uh,
Okay. And you also mentioned that we have been starting an internal testing on the new try implementation around the week of March 16. So, did that kick off?
Yeah, so we did advances there. We added more code, we merged it. We still haven't started testing because we have been fully focused on giving support for Starknet 014.2 and latest releases, and I'm preparing for the next major release of Juno, which is going to be 016. So all our efforts are there, and so after they start to free up, then we go back a bit to the state and testing it.
Mhm. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Rodrigo.
Um,
And now, yeah,
one-
is there anything else? Yeah.
Yeah, one final thing. We'll make a release today or tomorrow, up with supporting again the latest version of 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 uh, of Starknet. Yeah, and yeah, we're gonna do that, and then there was something else we were also gonna add there. But I forgot. Yeah, some bug fixes. And gateway compression as well for payloads bigger than 1 kilobyte. So it's gonna be there. So yeah, that's all on my side.
Okay. Okay. Thank you,
I,
Rodrigo.
Ayush, if you don't mind, Rodrigo's point made me remember something else that I wanted to share on this call.
Yes, yes,
Um,
definitely.
One of the things that we've been discussing is how we can reduce even further the usage of the feeder gateway and make it more optimal, more efficient, more easier, less redundant. So over the past week, I've gone through Pathfinder and Juno's usage of them, and over the last day or so, I've come to some conclusions on how we can optimize it a bit further. And those changes are, I mean, they're mostly relevant for Nethermind and Equilibrium. Will be shared with them over the coming days so that we can see how we can become even more cost effective and better in this area.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Ethan. And we can go to Hemang now. So, Hemang, in the last call, you mentioned that there were about 100 to 200,000 blocks away from full mainnet synced, and you specifically said that you would be
Hmm.
completely synced by this call. So,
Hmm.
are we there at that point, or what is happening right now? If you can
Yeah,
continue.
thanks, Ayush. Yeah, we have completely synced to all the three networks of Starknet. So that's one good thing that we have Madaras running internally that have the latest state matching and everything. So we are using them right now for the internal tests that we have on our own CI. So that is going on. So one thing checked off. We do have some other updates as well. So we have shipped previously known as StarkPay. So we are running the mainnet. It's an L3 on top of Starknet, and they've been testing out with it. So that is one good achievement that we wanted to share. We have also started to spec out the 14.2 update, and we are working on getting Madara to that. So hopefully by the next call, we would have some updates on that. And yeah, that's pretty much it. One thing about the optimizations that I had mentioned earlier for OOM, we have sort of drifted away from that right now, and we'll pick it up later on. We have some other priorities to take care of right now on Madara and the orchestrator, so that's going on. And there's one thing about the parallel localization. I think I mentioned in the last call that we will be sharing a document on that on the optimization.
Yes.
Yeah, I talked to the team internally, and we'll like one of the team members would be sharing it by the end of today. So hopefully that would provide a good glance on exactly what parallel localization does and how it's able to achieve the um, betterment in closing the block in a faster manner. Yeah,
Mhm.
so that's majorly the updates from Madara side.
And also, do you have a SNOS production feedback from the people that are using it right now?
Um, what does that mean exactly? Do you mean the dojo team?
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned that SNOS 14.1 is published, and so I just wanted to ask, like, are you seeing any production usage right now? Any feedback from the teams that are running it?
So it's predominantly us and the dojo team that uses the SNOS. So we are running it for Privily right now, and it's been running fine. And we have some like whatever internal networks we have, that's also running fine. So no bad updates as of now. Everything looks good.
Mhm. Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, great updates, Hemant. Thank you. And that covers everything on the agenda today that we had. So let me check if there's anything else. And okay. So we have covered everything. Then, other than this, anyone have any other topics that they would like to raise or discuss in this call? Okay,
No.
so we have nothing here. And let me close the call then. So thank you everyone for the updates today. And the next call would be in 2 weeks. That is on April 9th at 12 p.m. UTC. I'll get the recording up on YouTube and post the notes on GitHub. And thanks for your time today. See you again in 2 weeks.
Everyone.